Man, I don't even know how to summarize this situation. It has so many layers. Man, I don't even know how to summarize this situation in a comedically exaggerated skit. This has so many layers. Okay, hey yappers, it's Bree, and today I've got a new TikTok situation to discuss. It flooded my FYP, and I originally planned to ignore it, but I don't know, there's a lot in this situation, and everyone just kinda sucks in a way, so yeah. Plus, it won't leave me alone. God, fine, I'll cover it, That's also why this video's a teeny bit late compared to the actual situation. Usually I'm on top of these things so it gets out there quicker, but I was still debating on actually even making this a video, so yeah. So I don't want to hear, but Bree, this passed. Shh, I know. It's only been a few weeks, it's still fresh. But anyway, before I get into it, my super thank yous. Sorry if I say any names wrong, and if you aren't here, I apologize. Caster Angel again, oh my goodness. 13 Listcore, Fizzy SKF, Kazuna Endy, and NotBerry1803. Also thank you to my VTuber modeler Yummy. His commissions as well as mine are in the description. But I'll be saying this a lot this month, my commissions are currently closed for Art Fight. But still check them out regardless, especially if you're from the future. My Art Fight users, Bree draws, all lowercase. But since commissions are closed, you can still submit a request to be on a waitlist. And if you like the OCs on my Art Fight, consider checking out Crash Landed, as a lot of my OCs on there are actually in this webcomic. Link is also in the description. Yes, I'm doing the title cards again like I did with the CDA video. I just really like it, it's really organized, and it's really easy for timestamps. Plus, situations can get a little bit confusing, so it makes it a lot more organized. Before I begin, I should also note, do not send harassment to anybody. It's already happened and we don't need more. But basically, someone by the name of Emo Himiko65, Himiko mention, or Noelle but Evil posted a video giving their art hot takes. It ended up getting a load of views, and a load of backlash. And for days, it's all my FYP had. Just people talking about this darn video. And I don't even remember what was in the video at this time, nor did I watch it all the way through when I kept seeing it flood my FYP. So seeing people criticize it this badly, it had to be bad. And I guess it's my turn to give my takes on the video that has taken TikTok by storm. We're gonna look at where they went wrong, where TikTok went wrong, because y'all know they did something, and just the whole situation generally. Also, I just gotta say, for like the past few weeks, there have been at least 2 videos that I could think of artists giving opinions and being crucified for them. What is going on? But back on topic, I'll just play the video, give the aftermath, my opinions on that, my opinions on the video itself, the responses, and just the situation as a whole. Cue the video.
Hot takes. Chicken scratching is bad. Pillow shading is bad. Locks where they're only personally. Trait is trauma is just a new Mary Sue. People need to stop lying and pandering to beginners and start giving actual advice again. People who try to get traction by saying stuff like support a blank age. Artists are annoying. There's too much toxic positivity. If you steal the art style or art of a cancelled artist, you're pathetic. Brushes don't make you good.
Now, regardless of your opinion on this, and I do have thoughts, we'll get into that, this obviously made people upset. And usually, I would be extremely happy to see artists defending other artists. But I guess we can't have nice things. Because tell me why this artist was up and down harassed to the point of receiving threats, getting temporarily banned, and having their art fed into AI? What? I get criticizing them, like I did see constructive criticisms that I did agree with, but wholly overreaction? The video did not warrant this amount of harassment. I don't care if you thought they were wrong at any degree, that is not how you handle this. Tell me exactly, dear TikTokers, what do you think this artist would learn exactly from you making fun of their art? From harassing them? From feeding their art into AI? Would this magically change their opinions? The answer is no, you absolute buffoons, no. On what planet would this work? Like, I get the criticisms, I wasn't a fan of the video, or more so the execution of it, but I simply scrolled. That's it. Whoa. Mind-blowing. Give your opinions on the video, of course it's an open discussion, but that was just so completely unnecessary. But of course, let's get into my opinions on the video itself. Because I agreed with some things, and I could see where they were coming from with others. Some I didn't really get at all, but I just really didn't like the execution personally. And I don't think their responses helped their case. Of course, the responses explained some things, but it also dug them a bit of a deeper hole. Now keep in mind, and I will be too, this is entirely opinion-based. Hot takes are opinions. When I disagree with them, I'm not implying that they can't have their opinion. I'm just hopping in on the discussion. But let's go through each opinion because I was really interested in the topics that were brought up. Opinion 1. Chicken scratching is bad. Now this one is up to preference depending on how you look at it. Going based entirely on the look of chicken scratching, it's entirely preference-based and it really depends. I think you can have your opinions on chicken scratching and how it looks without hating on those who do it. But going past looks and what chicken scratching actually is, it also heavily depends. You see, chicken scratching is very misunderstood. It's misunderstood for things like sketching or cross-hatching. But in a way, you can't really intentionally chicken scratch, as it's a label made specifically for those who aren't confident in their line work. You can replicate what it looks like, but many would not consider actually chicken scratching, because it's entirely intentional. It's extremely common in beginners who aren't confident with their lines, and whether it's a bad thing is really dependent on the artist. Some artists just draw for fun and don't care about improving. It's just they pick up a pencil when they feel a little bored, and that's how it is. So if it's just some pastime hobby and they don't care about improvement, I don't think it really matters at all. So if you actively wanted to improve on your line art, or go into a professional field where you kind of have to learn these things, then yeah, that could very well be considered bad. Because you're not meeting the goals that you want to be at, or getting to the place you need to be for a specific job. There's also the issue of many artists speaking up and saying that it's actually really bad for your wrist. Many saying it's physically harmful in giving their testimonies, because it could lead to wrist strains and such based on how you're drawing. And that is more objectively bad, because if it's actively harming you, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Though I think the problem with this take, and really the rest of the video, is simply saying something is bad with no explanation. It can come off wrong or not get your point across, and I think that's why so many people got mad. I'll dive a bit into that more later though, so hold your opinions on that because definitely I will go back into that. But I do think that's one of the main factors that led to this series of events. Opinion 2, pillow shading is bad. Now this is quite similar to chicken scratching. It's a technique commonly seen in beginners who don't really know how to shade. It's basically where you shade all around the outlines without really a sense of light direction. There's no really point of light and you kind of just go all around and blur it. Now personally for me, whether I like pillow shading or not really depends on the case. I've seen it be done extremely well, and sometimes I just don't really think it fits, but that's just my personal preference. And I think it's another one of the opinions on whether or not you want to actually improve on something. Because this one can be done more intentionally. And if you like it, then do it. If you know it's not exactly correct but still want to continue doing it, just go for it. Just like anatomy, not everything needs to be extremely realistic. Though if you do want more realistic lighting, I really recommend looking into more shading techniques and just shading generally. It's again though, all up to the artists themselves. Opinion 3. OCs where their only personality trait is trauma is just a new Mary Sue. Again, I think this one depends on the person. If you actively want to make better OCs and better lore with more depth to them, I'd suggest looking into the aspects of your OC outside of just trauma. Because yes, from a more professional story writing point of view, slapping trauma onto an OC does not make them the world's best OC. If you genuinely want to improve your characters and make them seem more realistic, dive into things that are just even smaller details, and things that'll make them feel a lot more human, like pet peeves, things they like, quirks, things that make them feel human. Work on the stories outside of their trauma, or going into the trauma, small things that show that it affects them now, or even how they overcome it. I don't think OCs have to be some cinematic masterpiece. Hell, I think my OCs are pretty surface level. But that's because I want them to be, because my comic isn't some deep story, it's just some silly adventures. And I think if you just want to make OCs for fun and don't want to be professional with them, then just go ahead and have fun. Who cares if they're Mary Sue or trauma-centered? I don't. And I don't think that's how Mary Sue should be used. I don't really think that's I don't really get what they're saying here. Like, I'm probably misreading what Noelle is trying to say here, but I don't see how they're comparable. But regardless, I don't think these matter if it's just for fun. Also, in some cases, trauma-reliant factors are just a way for artists to vent, or for a way to have the artist have someone to relate to. Me personally, I put a lot of myself into my OC so I can relate to them. But anyway, opinion 4. People need to stop lying and pandering to beginners and start giving actual advice again. Now this one was more the brow-raising ones, and one of the ones I liked the least out of the two that really got me confused. Like, there was 2 in this that really threw me off, and this is one of them. I think it can come off as unnecessarily nasty, but I do sort of see what they're saying after looking at the opinion a little bit more. But it definitely could have been executed so much better. The wording lying and pandering to beginners just seemed unnecessarily harsh to me, and that's how others took it too, as it comes off in a way that seems to be discouraging of support of beginners. Not that I believe that's the original creator's intent, of course. Now, I do think when a beginner is asking for advice, just going, there's nothing wrong with this, and there's no way you should improve, and you should just keep it the same, it's amazing, is gonna help at all. Because while personally I don't believe there's bad art in an objective sense, I do think there's bad art in the sense that it's not meeting the artist's goals. Like, there's drawings that I don't think are bad that I've made, but I don't like them personally and find them personally bad because they don't just fit the goals that I had for them. If they have a goal, there's gonna be obvious things they should improve from. Like, let's go back to the pillow shading. If an artist was looking for more realistic shading, you aren't going to say, your shading's amazing and there's nothing you could change. Obviously, we guide them and show them how to make a light source, and how to work off from it. But if it's on its own and they just pillow shaded and they like the things and they didn't want to change it, then I'd say there's nothing wrong with that. It's up to you as the artist. But I do think we should be honest and give advice when beginners want help. Or when really any artist wants help. But claiming people are lying to and pandering to beginners just feels weird. People complimenting and praising beginners isn't either of those things, it's actually supporting them. You can appreciate an artwork while still seeing flaws in it. Though I think this just might have been worded badly, and I don't think the artist meant it like that, but I don't know, I'm not them. It just comes off as extremely rude and discouraging. And I don't think it's fair to say that complimenting and supporting artists is pandering and that we need to start giving actual advice, while you're on the opposite side of the spectrum. You're criticizing things with no actual advice to fix them. Now, I was going to state this later, but whatever. I'm not saying you have to explain yourself and help everybody just because you gave an opinion. I think you can have standalone opinions. And I don't think having a negative opinion on things and disliking things automatically means you hate that thing and the person who does that thing. And I don't think that having negative opinions on things or having a dislike towards something means that you hate that thing or the people that indulge in that thing. Like, I'll give a small example. For me, this has been a hot take to everyone I've mentioned this to, but I hate bacon. Like, I hate it. That's just my opinion. I don't think I have to explain myself when I say that. I don't hate people who like bacon. I'm not saying to stop eating bacon. And I'm aware I can just not eat it. But it's my opinion. And when the conversation comes up, I might state that, and that's okay. Same can apply to some art opinions and takes. Except when it comes to wording things in your opinion that seems to tear down other artists. And especially when it comes to things that are genuine mistakes that people make in art and writing. It's just not the same. Saying something that people struggle with is just plainly bad, with no means of fixing it, in a way that comes off rude, isn't helpful and just seems to fuel a negative art space. Especially when you criticize others for not giving actual advice. Empty criticisms that don't explain how to fix things are also bad in my opinion. And again, I don't think this person is a horrible person, but I do think there could be improvements in their execution. I definitely don't think the community's response should have been to the lengths it was at, but instead I think it would have been more beneficial if we all had a healthy discussion on TikTok about this. But I do think it would have been great if we all just had a discussion with this video. But instead, I do think a normal discussion in response to this video could have been really beneficial. And I do think this is partially a big downside of short-form content, as they had to make a response where they explain in depth more of their opinions. But in small videos where you're just throwing out opinions with no explanation that are very vague, things like this will happen where you're misunderstood. But anyway, opinion 5, people try to get traction by saying stuff like support blank artist are annoying. This is one of the more agreeable ones to many, and myself as well. I don't really have a big problem with this type of content. I just don't really like this form of promotion. But I think as long as you're not harming anybody, just post whatever you want. So there's not much to say on this opinion. Opinion 6, there is too much toxic positivity? Whatever this means. But seriously, this just goes back to the point of people being overly supportive to others, and I just find that dumb. And I don't even think that's how you use the term toxic positivity. This term is mainly in reference to suppressing your negative emotions for the sake of being positive, in turn making you not express emotions you really should be showing, or dismissing other people's negative emotions for positivity, promoting the idea that we should always be positive when it's okay to be upset sometimes. It makes you and others believe that you should avoid negative emotions, which just isn't okay. This one I just don't get and is one of the more jerky sounding ones, and was definitely one of the ones that made me have to do a double take, cause maybe they were going somewhere with this, I don't know, but they really need to elaborate on this one. I'm so confused, cause I have no idea what they mean. Opinion 7, if you quote-unquote steal the art or art style of a cancelled artist, you're pathetic. Actually, heavily agree. Most of these people just want to use other people's situations for clout with not What are they doing construction outside my house? Okay, whatever, we're just gonna continue, ignore the background noise. I actually heavily agree. Most people just want to use other people's situations for clout without actually adding on to the situation. They don't add anything positive, they just take someone's art and is like, yeah, I'm gonna be the better version of them, or I'm gonna steal their art because they're problematic and I can get away with it. A lot of time they just use it as an excuse to be jerks. I literally made a video on this myself because, Opinion 8. Brushes don't make you good. Another one that I actually agree with. I also agree that it's not the brushes, it's the artist. Some brushes may look better with your style or enhance them, but it's not what makes your art good. Brushes either just fit or don't fit with your style. But as you can see, I think they have a lot of agreeable opinions in this video. Some that need a little bit more explanation, or some that I just don't know what to say on. I just think they need better wording. And then there's some that I think come off as way too negative. And I get why people are upset. But overall, the video does come off pretty negative, and I personally don't like it, but I don't think it warrants the harassment. Like, this is just insane. Like, I can dissect and give my opinions on each take, but I'm not gonna go into Noelle's DMs to harass them or hate on their art. I guess this is a hot take now, but Noelle's art is actually really good. I really like their style. And I don't think insulting their art is gonna do anything. It's literally doing the thing you're criticizing, rudely judging someone's art. I don't get attacking someone's art where you can just criticize their actions. I see why people are upset, but I don't see how we arrived to these responses. What? I think if the video had more depth and was explained better, it probably would have been perceived much better. The tone with such vague claims just comes off really bad and threw so many off. And while I don't agree with this person and think they're kind of nasty with some of their responses, I don't think harassment is beneficial. And just because I don't hate them and don't think they deserve harassment, does not mean I endorse every action they did. Because for some reason when I cover topics like these, people think just because I defend the actions worth defending, that I just automatically defend everything the person has done. Even while I still, mind you, criticize all of their bad actions. But before we get too off topic, let's get into... Now, they actually had 2 video responses. And they also had some comments I want to talk about because... yikes. The first response was pretty nasty and dumb, and I think they were trying to go the rage bait route, I don't know. But I think they realized they screwed up and did a take 2. The first one plainly said, "If you were offended by my last video, it's because the things I said applied to you." Which is just stupid. You could be upset and it doesn't have to apply to you. You came off pretty darn rude, and it's not weird to acknowledge that. But with the backlash, they just deleted it and tried again, but this time with a better explanation. They also made a comment replying to someone responding to them, making fun of their real-life appearance, but more specifically the way their eyes looked. Yeah, this is definitely some like immature teenager or something, because what? They most likely deleted the comment because of the backlash, but the creator made a video responding to the comment, so it's kind of just always there. Not only that, but a video by Random Posting ACC2 showcased that they were given a lot of good responses to their video, and a lot of good criticisms, and they just plainly ignored them. It's honestly whatever, but here's their second response.
I'm gonna be talking about the video I made because a lot of you guys are really angry for no reason. Like in the comments, I get a lot of comments like, art has no rules, but I never said it had rules, so I don't know where like people got that impression. And I also like never said that you had to listen to my opinion. I never said that you had to listen to me. It was just what I thought, and it's your fault if you took that personally, because I didn't mean it that way. Honestly, like, you can do whatever you want with your art. I don't care. I don't care. Like, if you want a chicken scratch, good for you. I mean, I think it looks dookie, but it's good for you. I'm glad that you enjoy that. There was also a lot of people saying like, oh, you're the reason why new artists quit, and it's like, you shouldn't listen to me, A. And then there was also a lot of people saying that my art was bad, and then pulling up bad examples of my art on my page on purpose when I have a lot of art that people just ignored because they knew it was good. So I think that's petty. And I also think it's funny because in any other circumstance, y'all wouldn't have said that because I know my art is good. Y'all just said that just to say that. So a lot of y'all were also hypocritical because you were like, don't judge other artists, but then you turned around and judged me. So which is it? Pick one. Also, the death threats, those are funny. Like, they're not okay, but they're funny. I don't know. Someone also put my art through AI, which is not okay. Also, but that aside, I want to talk about the actual video now. Chicken scratch and pillow shading are bad because they show that you're a beginner and the lack of technique. And a lot of you guys think you know what chicken scratching is, but you're talking about either feathering or cross-hatching, and that's not what you're talking about. When I say, that's not what I'm talking about when I say chicken scratching. What I meant by steal an art style, quote marks, is like when people, like when an artist gets canceled and then people try to take their OCs as their own. I think that's stupid. By the drama thing, I mean like when people make OCs like, oh, I was cannibalized and raised in a cult and I became the universe. I just think that's corny. You can do it, but I think it's corny, personally. Also, when I made this video, it was like more from the perspective of like people trying to be professional, because if you're trying to be professional, then you have to stop chicken scratching because it's not good for like art at all. Like, I'm not trying to tell anyone how they should draw it. Like, you guys do what you want. I was just telling my opinion and, like, my thoughts. You don't have to listen to me. So you can stop sending death threats to my TMs. I can't answer them all. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I'll answer it. Thank you. Oh yeah, also before anyone said anything, this is old. And on my iPad right now it broke, so I can't show anything new. Sorry.
I do think while they didn't explicitly state things like art has rules, the negative basis implies that people are wrong for what they do, and it kind of bashes them, intentional or not. And the way they speak, saying it's the viewer's fault they didn't like the video despite there being critiquable things in their video execution, and it's the beginner artist's fault for listening to them if they're upset, as well as just the backhanded comments in the video, it just doesn't sit well with me. They also say there's no reason to be upset, when I think there's absolutely a reason to criticize them. They mainly just act like they're entirely in the right for the video, which, I mean, giving their opinions isn't the bad thing, it's mainly just the execution. And especially how they respond to things afterwards. And also especially because I went to their page and found out they were kind of a hypocrite. Their pinned video is literally criticizing the things that they enacted in their video. Except it just applies to fanfiction in their pinned video. It's just unbelievably ironic. I mean, you can't really say much because clearly this artist just doesn't care. But you did make a negative environment. And it still makes a space where beginners feel unwelcome on an app already known for their terrible community. And while I agree with their point of not listening to randos online, these are just pushing negative ideas that have already been around. And those will ultimately leave a bad impact on the community and drive people out of it. Though I don't think people should be acting like they're the reason for all of the bad things in the art community. The rest of the video is just how they've been treated and more of an explanation on their opinion, so I don't think I need to commentate on that. I do definitely think there was an overreaction with the backlash. But I also think people responding is completely reasonable. Because again, the situation certainly should not have gone to the extent that it did. I think when you actually just sit down and join in on the conversation rather than attempting a screaming match with them, I think you can actually get a really nice conversation going. And it's a lot more beneficial than the alternative. To be honest, I'm only on the side of those constructively criticizing Noelle in their own mini commentaries or in the comment sections. They're the more level-headed ones in this discussion. Outside of the few that made their own little commentaries that were a bit much with their responses. Cause low-key, I was really a smaller defender of Noelle mainly because I only kept seeing the first part of their video and thought it was just their opinions on art techniques that just really weren't well stated. Cause I definitely saw where they were coming from, but I also saw how the wording could have come off. But the hating people for being nice, and especially being nice to beginners, just threw me off so bad because...
What do you mean?
I'm sorry, that was just weird to me. Everything else just needed a bit more specifics, and I agree, but I feel like these claims definitely needed a lot more specifics. And I think their biggest mistake was the lack of detail, because it just came off as empty criticisms with no explanation or advice. And it came off with an objective tone, and the lack of explanation again just made it a whole lot worse. And the aftermath was just... no. As well as their response just missing the reason people are upset or just kind of really just dismissing them. And it's just weird to see them avoid criticism when they themselves criticize people for the exact same thing. But TikTokers getting them banned, threatening them, and feeding their art into AI was just so insane, as I've said countless times. I'm just so, baffled by that. But give your opinions. I think there was agreeable and disagreeable things in Noelle's videos, so what are your thoughts? Not just on their video, but your opinions on the situation generally. I'd love to hear them, so comment them below, preferably respectfully. Remember to not harass Noelle or anyone commentating on this. You can disagree while responding normally. Thank you all for watching the video, and thank you all so much for 145,000 subscribers. My next goal is 150,000 subscribers. And I also plan to make a 150,000 subscriber special, so drop your ideas in the comments. But yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one. Remember to love your art, love others, and love yourselves. Bye-bye!